Good morning and welcome to this Wolsey Hall Oxford homeschooling information webinar. We've got families joining us from all around the globe today, so a really big welcome to you, whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are, and we're really pleased to see you all here with us today. I'm Lynn Stacey, Marketing Manager here at Wolsey Hall. And just to let you know that we will be recording this event and we'll send out links to the recording to you a few days after the event. It will be as a Zoom email rather than a Wolsey Hall email, very similar to the ones that you've been receiving reminding you of the event. So do look out for those in your inbox and then you can share the recording or rewatch it however many times you want. So the format for today is going to be a presentation followed by a short question and answer session. You will find the question and answer area at the bottom of your screens where you can type in your questions. However, we would recommend that you wait until the end of the presentation because we've prepared a really detailed presentation for you, and we think that a lot of the questions that you probably have will be answered within the body of the presentation. Please also note that we won't be answering any questions that are very specific to individual children. Everyone can see the answers that are being typed in, so if it's a personal to your child, then please put in an inquiry form and one of our team will be very happy to answer any specific questions that you may have. So I'm joined here by a number of colleagues today. We've got a big team of people within our Q&A waiting to answer all your questions. We've got people from our admissions team, from our tutor team, from our supervisor courses and our marketing team today. And also I would like to introduce you to Christine Armstrong, our head of primary, and Ruth Young, our head of secondary, who will be giving you the presentation this morning. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Christine and Ruth. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Lynn. I'd just like to add my welcome as well. It's great to see so many of you here to learn about the homeschooling courses that we offer at Wolsey Hall, Oxford. I'm Ruth Young, I'm the head of secondary, and Christine and I are going to give you a presentation today to talk you through the elements of homeschooling and what we as an organisation can offer your family and your children in terms of the courses that they study. Wolsey Hall Oxford is a Cambridge school, and we're very proud of the accreditation that we have with Cambridge. This means that our courses follow the Cambridge curriculum where available and also the English National Curriculum, which means you can be confident that your child is following an accredited curriculum that will, in time, once they are in the upper half of the secondary phase, lead to externally recognised examinations. Cambridge as an entity is vast. There are, in the last exam sitting, in June 2022, the last main exam sitting, there were over 8 million candidates who took IGCSE Cambridge exams and A-level Cambridge exams. There are schools in over 160 different countries, and in total, Cambridge have over 10,000 schools around the globe. So it very much is a global entity, and we are pleased to be part of the Cambridge family.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christine Armstrong. I'm the head of primary, and it's a pleasure to share some information with you today. So Wolsey Hall has been going for a long time. It was founded in 1894. Obviously, it didn't used to look like it looks today, but over time, going from handwritten notes and penny post, we're now a fully online service providing education to students in over 125 countries around the world. So we very much have a global perspective. Our students age from 3.5 to 4 years old, all the way through to mature students, and we cover each phase of a traditional school, all the way through from early years through to A-levels at the end of your educational journey. We do have a number of renowned students who have passed through Wolsey Hall over time, and we are very proud of each and every student who has learnt with Wolsey Hall and has gone on to do extraordinary things. In particular, Nelson Mandela was a past student of Wolsey Hall, who many of you will know as the former president of South Africa, and we are always very grateful that we can reference him because we're very proud, obviously, of everything that he has achieved in his lifetime.
So why might you as a family choose to study with Wolsey Hall for your children? Wolsey Hall is very proud of the partnership that we have between families that choose to homeschool, our tutors and our student progress managers. We provide a unique experience to homeschooling families, and we place the child at the centre of all the advice and the support that we give you. We offer ultimate flexibility in terms of the level of study that your child is taking with us, as well as the pace at which your child might need to study. We recognise that every single student is unique and therefore requires a bespoke educational pathway. We differ from mainstream schools and other online schools in that we can, students who study with us can choose their curriculum. So to give you a specific example, in a mainstream school, a student aged 11 would typically in secondary be going into year 7, and they would study year 7 curriculum subjects. And whether or not that is the level that they are currently working at. Obviously, within a school, there's differentiation, etc. But with Wolsey Hall, you can choose the level of subject that suits your child. So if your child is year 7 age, but perhaps is bilingual, you can choose a higher level of study in a language with us. Equally, the same applies if your child might find challenges in a particular subject, and you might decide that they need to work at a lower than age expected level. That is ultimately possible with Wolsey Hall's homeschooling. To allow parents the facility to do this, we offer a variety of techniques at the admission stage, including ready tests. So we, alongside you, can assess the suitability of courses for your child. Also with Wolsey Hall, we are able to enrol students throughout the year. So you can start at a time that is convenient to you, and you are not then beholden to school term times as we function year round. The one thing to note there is when we come to the external examination years, we do have to consider when a student starts their courses to enable them to take the external examinations, as those external examinations take place on a calendar that is dictated by the individual external exam boards. We provide students and families with certificates of achievement for their courses and also end of course reports. So you are kept up to date officially as to their progress on our courses. We have a really strong network of support for our families, both with student and progress managers, which allows students to make excellent progress. As well as the academic courses that we offer, we do ensure that students have a holistic education, and we offer secure community websites for primary and secondary students where they can engage in a variety of different activities to further enhance their academic studies with us.
So just before we move on to what subjects we offer, we thought it might be useful just to explain the different phases of Wolsey Hall. As we know that there may be some people with us today who are less familiar maybe with the UK system. So our youngest students start in lower primary, and lower primary we have getting ready for year 1 courses, which cover some of the early years foundation stage content, and it covers years 1 and years 2. This is typically for children around 3.5 years old through to 7 years old if they were in a mainstream school setting. We then move on to upper primary, and upper primary consists of years 3, 4, 5 and 6, and this typically is for children aged around 7 years old through to 11 years old. At the end of the primary journey, you move on to secondary. And we start with lower secondary, and this is typically for children who are 11 years old through to 14 years old. And this covers the year groups year 7, 8 and 9 in a mainstream school setting. At the end of lower secondary, we move into the exam phases of learning. So we start with GCSE and IGCSE. And this is typically a 2-year programme for years 10 and 11. And children are between 14 to 16 years of age when they begin this journey and end it. And at the end of the GCSE, IGCSE phase, they go on to take external examinations in their chosen subjects. Following this phase, there is then the next 2-year programme of examination study, and these are called A levels and sometimes AS levels if you're taking a one-year syllabus. These this year group is year 12 and it moves on to year 13, so it's the equivalent of 2 academic years of study. And just like with GCSE, IGCSE, at the end of this 2 academic years of study, you go on to take external examinations in your chosen A levels. The examinations you take at A level, they are the exam results that are required for you to enter university or college, depending on where you are in the world, or it may be where you're starting your employment journey at this point. But Ruth will talk a little bit more about that when we talk about subjects specifically. So just to start us off, for those of you that may be considering some of our earlier year groups, so primary, we'd like to introduce you to Abdullah. Abdullah is one of our students, and he has just created a little snapshot of what his learning is like on a day-to-day basis at home.
Hi, I'm Abdullah. I'm from Singapore. I study in Wolsey Hall Oxford, doing year 3 and 4. We live near the sea and this makes us enjoy the nature along with my studies. A typical day for me would be studying, playing, swimming, and spending lots of time with my family. I study maths and English from year 4 and geography, science, and computing from year 3. The day begins with printing out the lesson plans for the day, and after my mom explains them, I do the exercises on my own. Along with the exercises, I also sit with the computer to do activities online provided by Wolsey Hall Oxford. The online activities are interactive and it helps me to do the subjects like a game, and it's very interesting to me. Along with my regular studies, I get crafting activities from science and geography which gives me peace of mind, and I take great interest in doing so. My favorite game indoors is to play with building blocks. I love to color when I'm sitting idle. My mom prints out coloring pages and I love to spend my time coloring them. After studying 1 or 2 subjects, I go out to the playground with my brothers. Homeschooling has been an amazing experience as I finished my studies in time and get plenty of time to do self-development and build a memorable childhood.
So I hope you enjoyed meeting Abdullah. There's a couple of things just to note from what he shared with us. So you may have heard him say that he's actually across 2 year groups. So he's studying some year 3 subjects and some year 4 subjects. So just like Ruth mentioned earlier, that's reflective of where he currently is in his learning in different subjects, and he's able to extend himself a little bit further with a few of those subjects. And it's also really lovely to see that he is doing some online computer-based activities, but also some offline away from the computer activities as well. And we do strive to get a balance, so you're not just in front of a computer all day, every day, staring at a screen. The other thing to note, with him being primary and that little bit younger, he also referenced his mum. Although he's quite independent, then we still did hear him say that actually once he prints off his activities, he then does need to talk to his mum, and his mum goes through those activities with him and just make sure that he knows what he's doing for his session that day. So courses that are available in primary, we have a number of different subjects. So I mentioned the getting ready for year one. So this is kind of early years, so kind of kindergarten, nursery stage. And we offer English and maths for our 3.5 to 4 year olds, so that they are learning the building blocks ready for primary school education. And then as we get into years 1 and 2, you can see that we have the core subjects, and by core, we mean those subjects that are deemed to be the most important at this point. Whether you agree with that or not is something different, but they are known as the core subjects, and that's English, maths and science, and that's why they're in blue here. But then we also have other creative subjects like art and humanities. Humanities is a combination of geography and history, and that's a lovely course in year 1 and year 2. We have music available for our year 2 students, and we have Skills for Life. Skills for Life is a lovely course which helps our younger students to learn a little bit more about themselves. And it's about personal development, personal growth, managing emotions, forming positive relationships. So lots of the key things that one needs in life. And we have a couple of free courses as well. Our Get Active course and our Mindful course, which is available to any student who joins Wolsey Hall. Moving on to upper primary. Again, you can see the core subjects are there, but now we branch out with history and geography, and they become courses in their own right. We offer history and international history. So it's just worth noting that history follows a little bit more of the UK-centric topic choices, and international history is a bit more of a global perspective. But again, you can see there are lots of choices. Typically in primary, students really should be taking as a minimum the core subjects, so English, maths and science. So we have students with us who are doing just a few subjects with us, through to those that are doing maybe 6 subjects or 8 subjects with Wolsey Hall. So whether you're using Wolsey Hall or not for all of your courses, it really is important that your child gets a breadth of experience in learning. And so you might have some other avenues for some of these subjects, and Wolsey Hall for others of them. So it's just about finding the right balance at home for your child. But we do have all of these subjects available should you be looking for some structure that can be provided by Wolsey Hall.
So we're going to move on to look at the courses on offer in secondary in the 3 phases. But first of all, I'd like you to meet Steph. Steph is one of our IGCSE students, and she's going to show you a little bit of our learning platform Canvas and the steps that she takes to complete an assignment, which are a feature in all Wolsey Hall courses.
Well, hi, I'm Steph, a student that does IGCSEs at Wolsey Hall, and I'm here to show you my steps to preparing and completing an assignment.
Step 1. Canvas.
This is the app or website where you're going to get all the information and material you need to learn for your subjects. It is your ultimate learning source. On Canvas, you can do your modules and quizzes, turn your assignments in, receive your assignment marks, and message your tutors for any help. Canvas will be your best friend.
Step 2. Modules.
Every subject contains more or less 9 modules. Every module consists of topics where it gives you tasks you need to complete. Most module work will require you to read some pages, do various questions, and jot down some notes. For my first topic in Economics Module 5, I will need to work through pages 124 to 125 in my course book. Then I'll need to write out some key points, and then I'm gonna have to check out this website they have linked. I usually like to note down any new definitions that I've just learned into my notebook, and I also write down any extra information that I need to remember.
Step 3. Quizzes.
At the end of each module, there is a quiz that awaits to be completed. This quiz is there to test your knowledge from what you've just learned. These quizzes are usually multiple choice, which makes it quite easy and super fun. It is definitely a great way to revise for your upcoming assignment, as you can retake them as many times as you want.
Step 4. Revision and preparation.
Before doing the assignments, it is important to revise and review everything you have just learned one last time. You can even do the quiz once more to make sure that you are fully prepared to do the assignment. Right before I start my assignment, I like to organize my desk space. I put out my assignment, my notebook, and a pen. And if I need to use my computer, I put that out as well.
Step 5. Assignments.
Now it's time to start. Every assignment has an instruction page where it will instruct you to either complete it under exam conditions or if it is an open book assignment. It will also show the recommended time limit, however you don't need to follow this as it is just an assignment. On my economics assignment 5 instructions, it says that I need to write on lined paper using a black pen. It also further says to upload your work on Canvas. However, it doesn't say anything about working in exam conditions, so this is an open book assignment. After I finished my assignment, I scan it on an app called Cam Scanner and then send it directly on Canvas.
Step 6. Marks and feedback.
Usually, marks and feedback from your tutor will be given back to you within a week. The feedback you get from your tutor is very helpful as it tells you what you've done correctly and what you must improve on. With the feedback, you also get the specimen answers sheet, which gives all the answers to the assignment. And to make the most of my feedback, I do the questions that I've gotten wrong once more. This is just to make sure that I've understood the module and won't do the same mistake twice.
So I do hope you enjoyed meeting Stefania there, and as she talked us through the steps that she takes to complete an assignment, and it gave you a little taste of what the learning platform Canvas looks like, which is where all of our primary and secondary courses at Wolsey Hall are housed. Something just to note, from that video is there is a clear difference between the video with Abdullah and the video with Steph in terms of the independent learning that students developed during their time with Wolsey Hall. We could see it in Abdullah already in year 3, developing his independent learning. And then you can then see in Steph's video how independently she is working through her IGCSE courses. And our courses are designed to develop those skills of resilience, of problem solving that students desperately need when they are entering the world of work and also when they're taking their external exams. The other thing just to note from that video is you again saw that blend of online and offline learning in terms of her assignment being completed by hand. The reason for that is whilst students are very au fait with using technology for learning, and we do incorporate many different forms of technology within our courses, our assignments are predominantly handwritten assignments because especially IGCSE and A-level, the majority of students will be taking external exams and they will be required to handwrite their answers. So again, it is all to support them to achieve those external grades that then allow them to go on to university or the world of work. So moving on now to talk briefly about the curriculum that we offer in the 3 phases of secondary. Lower secondary follows directly on from primary, and you will see the correspondence between the courses offered in upper primary and in lower secondary. As Christine said, we have students that take differing numbers of courses with Wolsey Hall, but again, we would recommend in lower secondary that students are following a core curriculum. Those would be the subjects in blue on this slide. We offer 2 English courses. We have English and English as a second language, depending on your child's command of the English language at the point they enter lower secondary. We have also maths and science as our 2 other core subjects. You then have a variety of subjects to choose from to enhance and broaden your child's curriculum journey in lower secondary. And it's a great moment for them really to explore different subjects before they start to specialise as they go on. A couple of things to note here, like in primary, we have history and international history. Both of those courses do lead to the IGCSE in history. So the history course in lower secondary follows a more UK-centric curriculum. International history looks at different civilizations and cultures, but both will allow children to progress on to the IGCSE history course that we offer in the next phase. The other thing to note here is our computing syllabus is computer science, and this is a great course for students to follow who are thinking about studying computer science later on in Wolsey Hall. After lower secondary, our students move on into the IGCSE phase. The IGCSE phase within a mainstream school typically lasts for 2 academic years and covers year 10 and year 11, so students aged between 14 and 16. This is the point where students start to specialise and choose the curriculum that they are taking forward to external exams. So when students have finished their IGCSE studies with Wolsey Hall, they will take external examinations in the subjects that they have studied at an exam centre local to them. We recommend that students take as a minimum 5 IGCSEs, be that with Wolsey Hall or outside of Wolsey Hall, in order to have a broad subject range. To give you an idea, typically in a UK mainstream school, students would take between 8 and 11 IGCSE subjects. And we do have students taking their full range of IGCSE subjects with us. We also have students who perhaps are attending mainstream school, but looking to supplement their mainstream education with one subject. So they're interested in Latin, but their school doesn't offer Latin. That is something Wolsey Hall can also facilitate. So our courses can be studied alongside mainstream education. At the end of the IGCSE phase, students will take their external exams, receive grades, which will then allow them to consider the next steps in their educational journey, which is the A-level courses that we offer at Wolsey Hall. This is typically for students aged 16 to 18, years 12 and 13 in a mainstream school. And this is the point where students specialise even further. So I always imagine it as a little pyramid, lower secondary, narrowing as we go up to A-level. So students typically at this point would study between 3 or 4 subjects for certain students in year 12, leading at the end of year 13 to A-level exams. And these are the qualifications that will allow them to apply to university. You can see we have a wide range of subjects on offer at AS and A-level. We do have different science qualifications. We have a UK qualification for those students who are based in the UK and an international qualification for those based overseas. They are both level 3 qualifications that are accepted by universities across the globe, but the difference is how the exam boards choose to assess those qualifications. So for the UK science exams, there is a practical endorsement, which students take at an exam centre in the UK. And for the international qualification, the practical skills which are taught throughout the course in a theoretical context are assessed by a theory paper that they take alongside their papers at the end. Students obviously can then choose the subjects that they have a true passion for and they wish to continue studying at this level. The studies at A-level are challenging and in-depth, and we do have entry requirements from GCSE for this level, just to ensure that students are studying the right subjects to suit them and for them to achieve the best possible grades. I'm now going to talk a little bit more about the external examinations that students at Wolsey Hall take. So, as I mentioned, at IGCSE and A-level, students at Wolsey Hall take external exams. As a member of the homeschooling community, you will take those exams as a private candidate at exam centres as local to you as possible. Wolsey Hall is here to support you in giving you advice on exam centres, and as an enrolled family with Wolsey Hall, you will have access to our exams officers, one of whom is based in the UK to support our UK students and one of whom who is based overseas to support our international students, and they will be able to give you contact details of exam centres as close as possible to you. It is worth noting that dependent on your location, you may find that you need to travel to an exam centre. And some of our families do live in very remote locations across the world and relocate for the examination period. But our admissions officers, if you submit an inquiry form, will be able to talk to you about your location and give you advice regarding examination centres. Students then, on the day of their exams, they go to their exam centre, they take their examination papers and exam conditions. Those papers are then sent to the external examination boards, Cambridge and Pearson EdXL. They are then marked and results are released in turn in line with the exam date releases from the boards. Those are then sent to the centre or you directly, and those are your external qualifications. So the gradings all come from the external exam centre. Both Cambridge and Pearson are recognised by employees and universities across the world. So again, you can be assured that these are qualifications that will allow your child to progress into the university or career that they wish.
So just to recap how the courses work, just to give some context. So our primary and lower secondary courses are similar in style, and each level covers one academic year of study. So our courses are about 36 weeks in length, but you as a student have access for 12 months to that course, and that then provides the buffer so that you can take holiday. It factors in periods of illness. It allows you orientation at the beginning of the course to familiarise yourself with Wolsey Hall and get to know your tutors, etc. So you have 12 months of access to a course, and the 36-week period or thereabouts represents an academic year of study in a mainstream school. So most people tend to cover the year in around 7 months to 9 months of study, and then they move up to the next level with us. The IGCSE and A-level courses, as Ruth has mentioned, they actually are not 1 year. They represent 2 academic years of study before you take those external examinations. So most of our students tend to complete that in somewhere between an 18-month to a 24-month period, depending on the pace of study and other factors involved as well, such as holidays, illness, etc. But those are more restricted by when the examination dates are, because they are not set by us, they are set by the exam boards. You can start any time of year with Wolsey Hall. We don't have set term times, but we allow you to start at a time that suits you, and also at a level that best suits your child. And another thing to mention is that we don't have online lessons. So some of the online schools out there, they provide online lessons. So you have to have a fixed timetable with them. You have to work to terms. You need to be available at set times on set days for your online lessons in a group setting. And then the tutor kind of talks at the students in that session. We don't do that. For us, it's really important that you as a family are in control of the learning, that you are in control of the pace of learning to suit your particular circumstance. And so as an alternative to online lessons, we have videos throughout our courses and other types of resource as well, so that you have all of the learning and assistance and support you need, but you're able to go at a pace that's right for you, and you're able to work at times that suit your family environment, and you can set your own timetables to make sure that you work through the courses at the speed that is right for your child. So that's often a question we get asked: are there online lessons? And the answer is no. The lesson content essentially you will find on Canvas instead, so that you can go at your own pace. So in terms of our courses, I just want to mention primary, because primary sits a little bit differently from secondary. Secondary very much looks like the video that you saw from Steph. And so it's modular in form, and you work through your module and you complete your assignment. For our younger students, just to help really with pacing, the primary courses are set out into 3 parts. And then within each part, we identify the number of weeks belonging to a part. And when you click into the week, it will show you how many lessons there are for that week. And our courses are really aimed at parents. So our courses in primary give instruction to parents to help you facilitate the learning at home. It will provide key questions for you to ask your child. and provide some guidance and advice for you. When you move into secondary, then you can see from the independence we have in our secondary students, we then switch and the courses are written directly to the student, because the student is more able to take ownership of their learning at that point. In lower secondary, well, throughout really, but lower secondary in particular, we'd still want parent guidance, and it's important that parents are checking in with their student so that they know what is going on and how their child is getting on, but the independence is much greater once you reach secondary school.
So our courses are all include a course book. The courses are designed around a textbook, but that is not the only thing that your child will be using during their learning. As you saw in Steph's video, she had her textbook for the subject she was studying, but it was supplemented by a number of different resources. That might be activities such as the ones you saw Abdullah printing off, or subscriptions that are included as part of your course. These are carefully selected to enhance a child's learning, to enable them to have immediate feedback, because some of these will include self-marking activities, formative learning that your child can do as part and parcel of their daily learning to bring it to life a little bit. So our courses may include Language Nut, Caboodle, which is a fantastic resource in lower secondary that we use, that also includes a digital version of the textbook. Our courses also include numerous videos, as Christine mentioned, both to talk students through elements of the course, and also to, again, broaden the knowledge that has been taught during the course content, and web links to support a student's learning, to allow them to delve that little bit deeper, or to revisit areas that they may have found challenging.
So support for families. So obviously we've talked a lot about the course structure and what it looks like, and that you are able to have independence to work through courses at your own pace. But obviously you still need support, and it's very much a three-way relationship between Wolsey Hall, families and the student. So to start off with, I just want to talk about the Student Progress Manager. So anyone who enrolls with Wolsey Hall is allocated a Student Progress Manager, and this is the first person that you'll meet after the admissions team. So this key person, they'll help you to create your assignment schedule when you first join Wolsey Hall, so that you can get a sense of pacing to make sure you complete the course within the access time that you're allowed. They will monitor all of the subjects that your child is taking with Wolsey Hall, and that's really important. So they're like an umbrella over the top of all the different subjects that your child might be taking with Wolsey Hall. They will check in with you to see how you're getting on, how things are progressing, and just make sure that everybody is happy. They're available. They're the first person that you would go to if you have a question or you have a concern. You would reach out to your Student Progress Manager, and they will help you. If you're going away on holiday and need everybody to know that you'll be away for the next 4 weeks, you can let your Student Progress Manager know, or your SPM for short, and they will make sure that the tutors are aware of what is going on. So that's your Student Progress Manager, and they umbrella everything you do at Wolsey Hall. And then we have tutors. So the tutor role is a little bit different. The tutor is an expert in the subject that your child is taking, and they are UK qualified teachers. And you saw in Steph's video, she mentioned assignments, and that is a feature of every course. And at milestones throughout the course, there is an assignment to complete. That might be a written assignment, like Steph demonstrated. It might be a video, it might be a presentation. So there are different types of assignments on different courses, and you complete that at home, you submit that, and that assignment is then marked by your tutor, and your tutor will give you areas of strength that they're seeing in the learning, and more importantly, they will give you key next steps, so how to further develop particular knowledge, skill or understanding from what they are seeing in the assignment. If you get stuck and you need a little bit of help, you may have noticed on Steph's video that she referenced the tutors being available via the Canvas learning platform. So there is a messenger service on the learning platform, and you are able to send a message to your tutor and they will respond to you. So if you get stuck, you need a little bit of advice, you can reach out to your tutor and they will come back to you with some support, guidance, maybe a video to watch, a link to look at as you move through the learning journey. So you might have many tutors. If you're taking 8 subjects with us at IGCSE, you might have 8 tutors. You will have one SPM that umbrellas over the top of all those tutors and keeps an eye on how your child is getting on throughout their learning journey with Wolsey Hall.
In addition to the support that Christine's just described of the tutors and the student progress managers, we also have optional additional support services for families, dependent on their circumstances and how they feel about certain stages of their child's learning journey. So, for example, we have a learning support service who is there to support families for students who may have additional learning needs, to give advice, to provide mentoring if it is required. We also have a comprehensive university advice service which incorporates references. This takes students from the very first moment that they start considering IGCSE options all the way through to actually applying to a university. It may be that you as a family want to have a very personalised one-to-one advice service from that point through to application. That is available to you as a Wolsey Hall family. It may be that you simply want some support from Wolsey Hall in terms of providing the reference to your chosen universities as you feel that you are able to navigate the university application process independently. That is also available to you. We have different options and all of these can be seen on our website. Alongside this, we also have a wellbeing service to enable all students and families to have access to resources to support their wellbeing when they are studying at home.
So just to finish off, just want to kind of mention again the broader Wolsey Hall offer, which is more than just the subject-specific courses. We do like to make sure that we are having a holistic approach to education. We do have community sites, both for primary and secondary. Those sites, they have clubs on there. Your child can do the challenges for Lego club or for debating club. They can join the chess club and compete against other Wolsey Hall students. Once you reach secondary, there is a student forum so that you can exchange ideas and interests with other Wolsey Hall students. We have a primary newsletter that goes out every month to keep parents and students updated on what is going on and celebrating some of our students. We run lots of competitions that you can take part in and be part of. So our latest one at the moment is we're very close to World Book Day, which traditionally is lots of children getting dressed up for World Book Day as their favorite characters. So again, we are inviting students to dress up as their favorite characters and send in photos to us that we can share with our community. We have a very active Facebook page for parents. So there's both a primary Facebook page and a secondary Facebook page. And these are used very regularly by parents, and it's an opportunity to find other parents who are part of Wolsey Hall. They often break away from that and form little WhatsApp groups and various others with other families they find that are geographically close to where they are. So we do work very hard to have a holistic approach to education and not just the kind of the more academic side of education life. So I'm going to pass back now to Lynn for the next part.
Thanks very much, Christine and Ruth. So we're now going to move into our question and answer section. As we said before, you can find the question and answer session at the bottom of the screens and type your questions in there. And we would ask if you could possibly just say the age of your child and the level of education that they're currently at, and possibly even the country that you're in, because that sometimes determines which course we're talking about when we're answering questions to you. We will hopefully be able to answer all your questions. We have got a lot of people here today, and I can see there's already lots of questions popping into the Q&A. So please do keep an eye on the answers that have been provided to other people, because if there are similar questions, then we may only have time to answer one each of the types. But hopefully we'll get through them all. We've got a lot of people helping us today with that. Okay, so we will be answering a lot of the questions in the as a written answer, but some of the questions we're going to introduce into the live discussion for a little bit more of a fuller answer to your questions. So if we start with one of those, if there are practical activities requiring materials, are these sent to us, or do you need to buy them locally? And that's to either of you.
I don't. So in terms of, for example, on the lower secondary science courses, there are elements required for practical experiments. However, those tend to be equipment that you would find around your house. So it might be some scales, it might be a pair of scissors, it might be some string. We take pains to ensure that any resources for those type of practical experiments are easily found at home and accessible. Equally, if there is ever a family who is struggling to get any equipment for those type of science experiments, then your tutor would be the first port of call, because your science tutor will be able to advise as to alternatives if you can't find what is needed, or also provide resources so that you can see how an experiment could take place without actually conducting it yourself if it isn't possible to get the resources that you need. But there is flexibility with those type of experiments. We can often find a different way around for the child to be able to complete types of practical activities. But essentially in secondary, any additional elements that would be required for activities would be sourced locally or would already be available in the home.
Yeah, we're similar in primary. There may be the occasional piece of equipment that you don't readily have to hand at home. So, for example, electricity as a topic is one that often is really hard to source things that you have around your house for. So there may be the odd topic here and there that does recommend that you purchase something. These are all things that are often local to you. And are quite easy to find either online or, you know, at shops locally to you. But we do provide equipment lists so that you can see right from the start what equipment you will need at primary. And so that gives you plenty of time to source anything that you may not have around the house. But for the majority of our investigations, we try to use things that you will have readily available.
Okay, thank you both. This is one for you, Ruth. Are there any external exams for lower secondary?
Yes, no, there are not any external exams for lower secondary. The external exams only take place after the IGCSE phase and after the AS and A-level phase. So lower secondary, that is years 7, 8 and 9 in a mainstream school, does not have any external exams associated with it. It is the time where students are really learning, developing their passions, enjoying their learning without any pressures of external exams.
Okay, thank you, Ruth. And another one for you. It says on our website that examination texts for use in the exam room aren't provided. We obviously provide all of the textbooks for the actual courses, but the examination room texts. Do we offer advice on where families can buy the correct?
Yes. Yes, very much so. We will give advice to families as to the examination text. If I just kind of clarify a little bit, when a student is working through, for example, English literature, they will have a text that they are using as part of the course, but we may have picked a text that has additional information to support their learning, and also the student will want to make notes in their text as they go along, as you often do when you're studying a novel or a play. For the examination room, it needs to be a particular edition and it needs to be a clean text. So we can obviously provide advice as to which edition to purchase and where that is available from.
Thank you. Okay. Is it possible to sit 3 IGCSE subjects over 1 year rather than 2?
Essentially, yes, it is. We would always talk to families to make sure that that is the correct pathway for them. IGCSEs typically are designed to be studied over 2 academic years, therefore 18 months. Saying that, that would be a student studying the typical loading of 8 to 11 that I referenced earlier. Therefore, logistically, it is possible to study 3 IGCSE subjects in 1 year rather than 2. But what we would want to do is make sure that the family has the correct number of IGCSEs, that you're not going to be losing anything by taking them at different points in different sittings, because dependent on the country that you are located in, universities have different entry requirements regarding the number of times external examinations can be taken in terms of the number of sittings that they then recognise for entry. So yes, with some caveats, I think is probably the most appropriate answer, Lynn.
Okay, thank you. And one for you, Christine. Is it possible to follow 2 years in 1 year? So, for example, could you band together year 3 and year 4 together, obviously with double the payment? But is there any reason why you'd want to do that, or is that a feasible thing that you could do?
Again, it's a little bit like Ruth's answer, I think. Logistically, then yes, it would be possible to do that. But whether or not that was really the right pathway for your child, I think is a different conversation. I would be more inclined to suggest that a family accelerates the courses. We have mentioned a number of times that you are in control of the pace of the learning. So rather than running 2-year groups side by side in parallel, I would be suggesting that you accelerate through a year of study so that then you can move on to the next year of study. There will always be, on courses, there will always be some prerequisite material. So will always, if we take English as an example, there will always be something that you learn or some things that you learn in a year that are very useful before you move on to the next level of study. So rather than running side by side, I very much would be advocating an accelerated form of study, which can take place really at any level. So rather than taking 10 months to complete the course, set the goal of completing it in 5, and then move on to the next year of study.
Thank you. Is it possible just to sign up for year 11 for IGCSE? This particular family, the daughter has already completed year 10 elsewhere.
Okay, we do have some students who have successfully joined Wolsey Hall having completed year 10 elsewhere. It is possible, but we would need to look carefully at the curriculum that they have studied in their previous school. If their year 10 curriculum and the specifications that they've been studying align perfectly with Wolsey Hall, you're then able to continue those studies. The one thing to note is the IGCSE courses that we offer are 2-year courses. We don't recognise the fact that in a school they're split into year 10 and year 11. So you would be starting the course from scratch, so you would have access to that course. However, if your year 10 studies aligned, you would be able to, as Christine was just describing, fast track for revision purposes through the first part of the course and then continue on with the new learning. On the other hand, if your year 10 studies didn't align, it may well be that you decide that you want to take a little bit longer over the whole IGCSE course to make sure that any new novels are studied in detail if it comes down to English, or that the change in exam board won't have a detrimental impact on the child when they take the external exams. So by enrolling on an IGCSE course with us, you're enrolling on the whole course. We don't split them into 2 halves. I hope that answers the question. If not, please do say.
Yes, thank you. There's a few questions of a similar vein, so I'm just going to sort of summarize it in one. If my child doesn't understand something, how do they get help?
So their tutors are available. In terms of academics, we have the Canvas messaging system with tutors, and a student can message their tutor directly to ask for help. Also within the courses, there are a myriad of resources that they can access to support them with their learning. You will also find on courses suggested answers further down the line. So for example, on the lower secondary language courses, the modules that are laid out on the course, the answers are there on the course for students to access once they have completed the learning, so they can check their work and check their understanding in order to be able to move on. But if they really get stuck, their tutor is there. It's like tutors often say to the students, you know, no question is too small, ask me. That's what they're there to do. They're there to support the child. And if they've got a question about anything other than the academics, obviously the SPM is the key point of contact.
Yes, thank you. Do you want to add anything, Christine, to that one?
Yeah, I think, you know, similar to Ruth, we always say reach out to the tutor if you're stuck. Primary obviously is a little bit different in that primary should be supported by an adult, and that often means that the adult who's supporting the child is in a position to be able to actually unpick any area that the child is stuck on, just because of the level of study that we are looking at for primary age children. But if not, then your tutor is your best friend.
Thank you both. How does the pricing work for GCSE or IGCSE subjects in our case? Is it the cost for per year or per subject up to the exam?
It is per subject up to the date of examination, communicated at the point of application. So it's a 2-year course term. As I said, typically IGCSE studied over 2 academic years, 18 months. Our course terms are 24 months. So that really is the term of the course. So it's per subject, not per year.
Thank you. This one was specifically for lower primary, but I guess it's across the board actually as well. But do you provide all textbooks, or am I likely to have to print off some things at home? So I'm guessing they're wanting to know about sort of what printer requirements they may have to have in addition to the other materials that we're providing.
Yeah, absolutely. So in primary, we have some courses that have a textbook as part of the course. So for example, maths, there is a workbook as part of that course. And there are some courses like art that don't have a specific textbook, just because it's not needed for the type of content that you're studying in those art lessons. Most of our courses will require some printing at home. So we do recommend that all families that are enrolling in Wolsey Hall do have access to a printer. We stressed earlier on in the presentation that we don't feel that it's healthy for students to be in front of a screen all day, every day. And we like to have a blend of online and offline learning. So to facilitate the offline learning, that might incorporate printing some things out, printing an activity, so that it's actually removing you from the computer screen and it's a tabletop activity that you are then doing at home.
Thank you. Are students with special needs and gifted, again, this was directed at primary, but again, I think it covers both. So if they have special needs and are also assessed as gifted, are they able to join courses at the level that they are at rather than the age or the level that their age would suggest?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So when you make an inquiry, if this in a primary specific context, when you make your inquiry and you talk to admissions about your child and where they currently are in their learning, part of those discussions will be about trying to find the right level for your child, which is based on ability rather than their age.
And the same would apply for secondary.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have to take a secondary language?
No, simple answer. There's not really a compulsory subject that we advise, as Christine and I mentioned when we were talking about the curriculum, we advise students to take the core subjects. Those are absolutely vital building blocks for any sort of future study, but there is no compulsory element to any subject at Wolsey Hall. My background is languages, so I would always say I think a language is a fantastic subject to have, but it is definitely not compulsory.
Okay, thank you. Would it be possible to make contact with Wolsey Hall families in the close geographical region and chat with them in contemplation of the application process, just to find out a little bit more before they actually take the final step of enrolling?
Yes, there is the short answer. The first step is to make your inquiry. When you then have conversations with the admissions team, as part of that, we can put you in contact with another family who is geographically maybe in the same country as you, perhaps even the same city, depending on who we have on our database that's part of this programme. And it gives then the parent the opportunity to talk to somebody else who's enrolled with Wolsey Hall and enjoying their journey. So that would, if you're interested in that and would like to make that connection, that's something to mention as part of your inquiry conversation. So after you have made the inquiry, there is a follow-up phone call that you will have with a member of the admissions team, and you certainly can discuss the opportunity for that at that point.
Thank you. I can see that we are a little bit over time, so apologies to everyone for that. I can see also that there are lots of, well, 3 more questions still being answered, but there's time, I think, for my colleagues to finish those before we close off. I do have one last question, and as you'll see, Tamara has joined us from our admissions team. And the question that I have for you, Tamara, is after this event, if anyone still has any questions or want to find out more about homeschooling with Wolsey Hall, how can they go about doing that?
So you go onto the Wolsey Hall website and there's a contact us button top right, and then you can find the inquiry form. It says book a call by filling in the inquiry form. So that will come to admissions. You'll be sent some very specific course information, and then one of my colleagues will arrange either an online meeting or a phone call, whichever you rather, to discuss your child's studies further. So please fill in an inquiry form as the next step from our website.
Thank you, Tamara. Okay, so I'd like to extend a really big thank you to everyone for joining us today, and we really hope that you found the session useful and that it's given you a really good understanding of homeschooling with Wolsey Hall. As Tamara has said, if you do have any further questions, then do go to our website, fill in an inquiry form. You can have a confidential one-to-one chat with one of our admissions team, and they'll be able to talk about everything to do with your child and your specific situation and circumstances, and find the right solution for the education of your child. So please do go ahead and send us an inquiry and book a call with us. So again, once again, a really big thank you to everyone, and I hope you will have a great rest of day. Thank you very much.